The following is a Stars and Strikes doubles rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
Stars and Strikes doubles. Stars and Strikes doubles is sponsored in part by Somerville Lumber. Stars and Strikes doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to the Londonderry Bowling Center here in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I'm Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy, and it's Stars and Strikes doubles once again here on the Wins, and this is week 2. We've got a team returning looking for their second win in a row, but the upper part of this ladder, particularly, a lot of quality bowlers to come.
Absolutely, and there's 2 coming in today that bowled a lot of their bowling right here at the I was going to say Park Place Lanes. That's the other show at the Londonderry Bowling Center. So it didn't work for Timmy last week, so I don't know. Maybe we'll turn around this week.
All right, let's meet our 2 teams for today's action. First of all, our number 4 seeded team from Rentham, Mass, Bill Treeful, and his partner from Salem, New Hampshire, Peter Pereira.
Okay, Pete comes in averaging 130, I should say, 659, and Billy Treeful 128 and 661.
And last week, of course, they rolled 13 marks in a 375 as they knocked off Tim Lipke and Don McCucci. So they'll go for win number 2 in a row today, and they will face our number 3 seeded team from Hudson, New Hampshire, Mike Poulin, and his partner from Londonderry, New Hampshire, Brian Uphold.
Okay, Mike comes in averaging 125, his roll-off score 665, and Brian Uphold at 126, 663.
A lefty and a righty on our 3rd seeded team, and of course we'll be back with 3 strings of doubles competition here on Stars and Strikes doubles at the Londonderry Bowling Center. We'll get the match started right after these words. Don't go away. Once again, last week, if you missed it here on Stars and Strikes doubles, Tim Lipke and Don McCucci falling to the team of Bill Treeful and Peter Pereira, 375 to 355. So Bill and Pete move on. They will face our number 3 seeded team today. The winners of this match move to the semifinals next week against Mike Sargent and Steve Vadney. And 2 weeks from today, we'll have another championship match for you as Chuck Godzik and Peter Flynn will come in that number 1 spot against the team that's remaining. Right now, Pete Pereira leads off. Oh, and a solid first ball.
Did that a number of times last week.
Well, it's interesting talking with Bill and Pete after the show last week. Of course, they were very happy to get the win, the first win for each of them on Stars and Strikes. But one thing they were talking about was the number 7. 7 missed single pins during the match. And here's one to start right off in the first box, and Pete covers it. It's interesting, both teams were aware of how many singles were missed.
I didn't realize that team missed that many. I know they missed a few. And they still hit 375, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Difficult spare leave now, though. The 3-6 on the right and the 4-pin.
Maybe, almost.
Pretty good effort. Appreciative crowd. A round of applause for that near miss or near hit or whatever you want.
26 for the opening 2 for Pete Pereira, and that brings us to Mike Poulin, who's been kind of a semi-regular this year too.
Bowls with the wrong hand though, but we still let him on the show. Mike's going to be looking at the 1, 2, 7, 8, and 10 pins. Piece of wood in front of the 10, another piece down between the 7 and the 8. Looks pretty good.
Nice looking ball, everything but the 8 pin.
How did it stay up?
Mike from Hudson, New Hampshire. He and his wife Judy have 3 sons, 8-year-old Stephen, 7-year-old Tommy, and 5-year-old David. You get a look at that spare attempt. Perfect ball. It just deflected the wrong way to carry the 8.
Just went by the 8-pin. It's right in the pocket. Let's see. And he's got a nice spare leave in the 7 and a 10. Piece of wood out front. I'd rather be a right-hander in this instance, though, because the wood seems to be angled better for the right-hander.
You mentioned already, Dan, that both Mike and his partner Brian Uphold do a lot of their bowling right here at the Londonderry Bowling Center. Not quite.
Ooh, he got the problem pin. I thought the problem pin would be the 7.
Mike thought he had it, I think. Mike works in sales for a Metropolitan Insurance Company, and he comes up with back-to-back 10 boxes to open the match. Bill Treeful. Might have heard someone in the background say, "Come on, Chief, set him up." Not a tribute to Johnny Busick. It's because Bill Treeful is the Chief of Police in Norfolk, Mass. Bill is from Rentham.
4:10 left for Billy and a couple pieces of wood. Let's see where they settle down. Yeah, possibilities.
Right about there wouldn't be too bad.
Go down low on the wood possibly and have the ball take the 10 pin and the wood come back. The other one may spoil it though.
Let's see.
He's too high.
No.
We'll never know.
$9. Coming up in 3 weeks here on Stars and Strikes Doubles, starting on January 31st, we'll begin our annual Ladies Doubles series. 10 ladies, 5 teams. Prize money remains the same, and we'll get a look at the ladies here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. Hey, how about that? The half Worcester converted for a spare for Bill Treeful.
The 1-2 pocket, and looks like the 5 pin was going to be left at first, but the 10 pin goes, and then finally the 5. And that has to be a welcome sign.
First ball for Brian Uphold leaves the 5 pin. Brian from Londonderry works for Instant Whip Foods, and he spares in the 3rd. And actually, by the time this program airs, Brian and his wife Rebecca will probably have had their first child. In fact, as we're taping this, Brian was somewhat concerned that perhaps Rebecca would decide to have the baby on the day of the taping. But so far, at least, no news. Oh, slipping by after the 8 fill.
Another good crowd, as you can see, a partial part of it behind us.
And Brian went for that shot both times. 46 through 4. Peter Pereira, though, as you see, now working on a spare left by his partner.
Listen to the right, 3 fill.
Talking about January 31st a moment ago, and that reminds me that January 31st is also a big day down at the Cambridge Side Galleria in Cambridge, Mass, just across the river from the Museum of Science, where the new home of the New England Sports Museum will officially unveil its new site. And that's January 31st, and of course, for those of you who haven't heard us mention it before here on the program, Candlepin bowling is going to be a large part of the New England Sports Museum.
As big a display as any of the major sports, so that's really a feather in our cap and kind of exciting. And the fundraisers are going on as we speak, too. A lot of bowl-a-thons and other charitable events, trying to raise some money to support that exhibit at the Cambridge side Galleria.
For those of you who haven't been there, how about this shot? The 7-pin will do everything but go down for Peter. For those of you who haven't been to the Cambridge side Galleria, it is a 3-level shopping mall, which is pretty spectacular in and of itself. And the fact that the Sports Museum is located right inside the mall makes it even a more attractive destination. Pete did everything he could on this shot. He had to settle for the 9 box. That 9, by the way, resulting from the ball dipping into the channel before it clipped out the 7-pin. Well, Mike Poulin didn't want the head pin to go down.
No, I think he wanted that to stay up. People wondering where the Cambridge side Galleria Mall is. It's right around the corner from the Science Museum.
Yep.
It's very easy to find.
And the best thing about it is, for those of you who may be concerned about driving down there, as Mike Poulin converts for the spare in the 5th, there is reasonable price parking right underneath the mall, right underground. So
absolutely.
Don't have to worry about that.
Right back with a 9-pin drop and a spare. Will he get the strike? No. Everything but the 10-pin.
Putting his team in the lead by 7. And Mike turns that over for another spare.
Stayed away from the double piece of wood in the channel next to the pin and used the one to the left. Was able to make 2 marks in a row, an 8-pin advantage plus the fill.
Four horsemen right side. And playing it outside, and the ball is still on the lane, but won't happen for him.
Side pool, $3. Anybody else interested in getting in on that? Please step up to the desk for you, $3.
And it's a 9 box. Won't be long now. We'll be talking more often, Dan, about the annual ICBA convention, which is only about 6 months away now, and
that's right.
The Sports Museum is going to be a large part of that as well.
That's going to be at Ferncroft. Is it Boxborough or
Danvers?
Danvers.
Actually, it's in. If you play golf at Ferncroft, it's an outstanding championship course, of course, right on the grounds. You're in Danvers, Middleton, and Topsfield when you play on the golf course, right? In fact, there's one hole, I can't remember which hole it is, when you tee off in one town and you you hole out in another town.
That'll be different. So I usually tee off and ends up in the next fairway, so kind of be right up my alley.
My tee shots usually end up in the next town without that being the intent.
It's a 6 fill on the spare by Brian, leaves himself the 1, 2, 9, 10. Waiting for the wood to settle down in front of the 10-pin.
This is a makeable shot, particularly with that piece of wood there. Gets a little kick off the right sidewall, but played it too far to the left. Missed the object pin. 6 fill, by the way, makes the lead 14 for the team. And now it goes back to 13 with the 8 box. Brian Uphold and Mike Poulin are certainly no strangers to bowling on the same team. They bowl together a lot.
Yes, they do.
Of course, in this particular instance, it's by sheer chance, because remember, they compete as individuals to qualify here on Stars and Strikes doubles, and then they're paired up after their individual scores are totaled. And there's a spare in the 8th. Brian Uphold, the 4th for the team, yet to see our first strike in this match.
Peter would like to solve that mystery right now in the 9th frame. Trailing, as Doug said, by 13 plus the fill. And
there it is. How about it? Oh. Thought for sure when that piece of, what was it, the head pin came off the left sidewall, I thought for sure he had a strike. This, you got to watch this a little bit. Can't play this piece of wood too far to the left or he'll cap it. It's not frozen against the 9-pin. Oh. Boy, even worse than I thought.
Yeah. Had never had the 9-pin covered at all.
Well, another single pin by the boards, although that one you have to kind of put a little star by because you really didn't have an even shot at that. But let's take another look at that first ball now.
Here comes the head pin right there. Oof, knocks the 5 and just tips the 9-pin.
10th box now, and off to the left is Peter. Taking out just the 2 and the 4. One of the exhibits relative to Candlepin bowling, by the way, at the Sports Museum is going to be a very interesting one. It's going to be a perspective from behind the pins. Is that right? You're going to get an idea of what it's like to have a ball thrown at you.
Well, I don't know if exactly with that. It's going to be a working machine anyways. So, but I don't know if you're getting confused.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of the
Roger Clemens fastball.
Well, no. What I'm also thinking of is the trailer.
Oh, yes, right, too.
The exhibit
yes.
trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had that at the La Rochelle's have an office trailer with a working machine, and you can actually stand behind that and see a ball come at you.
The finals are next weekend.
Mike Poulin to try and convert, and not quite.
First ball's going to step up. Next ball's for score.
It was a 104, by the way, for Bill Treeful and Pete Pereira. So they're going to be trailing after this first game. The question is by how much. Right now it's 22, and there's still 1 box to come for Mike Poulin. Lefty fires, and well, he's had some interesting leads, hasn't he?
Certainly has. This time it's the 2, 4, and 10. Piece of wood in front of the 10. Certainly a makeable spare.
Nope, missed it to the left. Went too low. So the lead will be in the 20s for the team of Poulin and Uphold as they try and dethrone our returning champions from last week. A 9 box for Mike Poulin and a 126. A 22-pin lead after 1 for Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold. And we'll be back here on Stars and Strikes Doubles in a minute. Middle game here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. Brian Uphold and his partner Mike Poulin, the red team, leading by 22. And how about that? First strike of the day.
Off the ball of Brian Uphold. Just a matter of whether the 4-pin was going to go over or not. There it goes. Looking for the double strike, trying to protect the 22-pin lead right now.
Boy,
oh, wow. Look at this.
He really turned that one over, missed the head pin, and that's
Almost
all that's left.
Just missed the double.
Spare it up, spare on strike for Brian Uphold, a quick start.
It's a way to take advantage of a break.
Bill Treeful now. Team of Treeful and Pereira in a little bit of a mark slump here. Oh, but there's a good-looking first ball, too.
But his 4-pin doesn't go down. And another single for Billy Treeful to shoot at. Ooh.
A little dangerous there with the cap.
Billy turned around and says, I made one. I think he's also saying, glad I had the wood.
He made it exciting, though. A little too full on that first ball with the fill just 5.
3, 5, 6, 10 on the right and 4-pin on the left.
Oh.
Object pin, but drove it right straight back.
And Bill lost that one a little bit to the right, so it'll be a 7 box.
Now Mike Poulin going to see if he can keep the string alive. Brian Uphold showed him the way with a strike and then followed with a spare. Now Mike will fill the spare.
Big first ball, needs a break. Well, gets one, but he would have had a spare leave anyway with the way the wood is lined up.
7 pin. Wood should be no problem if he's to the left of the red line. Probably shoot right at the pin. Just drive the ball right straight through. Oh, he lost it to the right.
Nope.
Left, I should say, and it's only a 9 box.
Well, mark down another single missed. And that one had a piece of wood right in front of it.
Sometimes those are the toughest ones. You say, oh, I don't want to miss this, and you just ease up instead of throwing at the same speed. Throws your timing off.
And so, instead of the spare and then who knows what after that, it'll be 2 open frames for Mike Poulin. A 9 and a 10, and that leaves a little opening for Peter Pereira, and they need something to happen right about now, trailing by 39 in the match. Just sliding by the head pin to the left. Shoot at the 4 horsemen right plus the 7.
All he has to do is do as well with this ball, and he'll have a spare. Knock down half of them. Looks good. That was strange, wasn't it?
It was.
1-3 pocket, and I figured he's going to clear out the 4 horsemen right away. Didn't, just missed the 7 pin, then came back and did the damage on the 4 horsemen. Let's see what happens to the head pin. I think the head pin is the pin that just misses the 7. Yep, up and back and takes out the 6-10.
In the pocket, but not much mixing action that time. The 5, 7, and 8.
Just got to play the 5 pin on the right-hand side. Just try to jump it into the 8 and hopefully the 7. Giving it a shot.
Oh, yes.
Great.
Well, that could be a momentum changer right there if Treeful and Pereira are able to build on that shot. How about that one? As he cuts the 5 across into the 8, carrying the 7 for the spare, and we will take a break. The team of Poulin and Uphold with the lead. We'll be back. Brian Uphold. Half Worcester left. Talk about Brian and Mike bowling together often. Actually, the last time Brian was with us, now he's got a bailout on the 3rd ball. Last time Brian was with us was back in the singles show in October. In fact, the first show of the year, and he bowled against Mike Poulin and beat him before losing to Peter Flynn the following week. And there's a nice bailout with the 8.
Certainly was. Well, before the break, you said that spare might be a momentum builder, and certainly followed true to that box because Brian Uphold kind of helped him by throwing the half Worcester and then going through the hole. This time he's right back on the head pin.
Well, and here's another single pin with nothing to help.
I was going to say the same thing. Nothing around. Even remotely suggests he has help, and he misses to the left. So it's single pinitis with these bowlers the last couple weeks. And again.
So, 2 more openings for the team of Treeful and Pereira. And remember, this time he's building on a spare, so whatever he puts up on this first ball is going to cut into the lead right away. They trail by 38 at this point. May take a couple extra here. Let's see.
You might want to have the head pin stay up. Maybe half a dozen anyways. Leaves himself the 1, the 8, the 10, and also the 6 pin.
Let's see.
Just caught the head pin. Just too light to carry the 8. Well, you can gain 2 more and count.
This wood may be troublesome in front. See if he can drive it back. Yes. Let's take a look at the spare attempt.
If anything comes close to the 8 pin. A couple pieces of wood, but I'd like to put another mark up for his partner now. And he's going to have a spare leaf.
The lead is at 30 right now. Wood moved out of the way nicely for him, and he gets it coming back. How about that? The 3 and the 5.
I thought he had it right here. He just cut it in front, and the pin comes back. Boy, you don't see that happen very often.
And Mike Poulin is off target, but look out, it's not too bad. The 1, 6, 8, and 10. And there's still wood moving around. And the wood is moving into a helping position here.
Still got to grab the head pin.
Nope.
Started to roll back.
Mike started to shoot before, mark the putt before it rolls. Yeah. And then it started to move again on him. Nope. And it's a 9. Well, after those 2 marks to open this game by Brian Uphold, a little dry spell for the team of Poulin and Uphold here.
Let's see, we're going to have another single pin to shoot at? Mike is hoping so. No, it's going to be the 410. A couple pieces of wood and one right next to the sidewall. He might be able to snap that one across.
I was going to say, the way things are going, maybe you'd rather shoot at this than the single.
Yeah, right. I guess so.
Take your chances with the wood.
Well, Pete Pereira working on a spare in the 6th. Their fills haven't been that great. He's probably due for a big fill on the spare. Well, it's off target, but not a bad fill. 8-pin drop. The 1 and the 2 left. Have they put 2 in the marks in a row yet?
Nope.
Haven't put 2 in a row together.
There they have 6 marks, all spares for Pereira and Treeful. And they're mounting a comeback here. It's down to 21, around 20, as you see.
You can cut it to 10 with a strike.
Of course, he's opposite a mark here in the 8th.
Oh, he dropped that one, and it's a 2.
Well, he's off to the left that time, got away with it. This time to the right, and didn't. Pete converted one of these for a spare last week. We've seen it done already this week, but instead, now 2 more on the other side.
Full Worcester. Now what do you do? Well, I think he's going to shoot for the head pin and hope. And
that's what he got.
So any momentum they had, they just lost.
Ooh, and Brian Uphold on a spare chops out the 1 and the 9 on the head pin.
Mercy.
And it's one thing to get a half Worcester, but when you hit the head pin on your spare fill, that's very frustrating. So the lead is 25 now through 8.
104 through 9. Another half Worcester.
Trying to play it inside. Ooh, and a 6-box. 110 for the team of Uphold and Poulin, and another big opening for Treeful and Pereira. 2:36 after 2. Couple of marks here, big marks, and this thing could be about even.
That's right.
Oh my! What is happening here all of a sudden?
Things can't be much worse. What they just did. Can't even steal a half Worcester. Just takes out the 3-pin. 2-pin. Pretty good recovery there, but no mark.
Well, the box he would really like to take advantage of is that 6 box in the 10th. See, the lead's still 25, but they're opposite this 6. So a mark could be real big here. How about the diamond?
Well, he's got some help in between. 2, 4, 5, and 8, and a piece of wood in behind the 4 and the 5. Looks pretty good.
Oh, right straight through it.
Wow.
So the lead is going to be right about where it was for Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold. In fact, they're going to gain a pin. 109 for Treeful and Pereira, a 2-game total of 213. So the lead is 23 after 2 games as we look for a team to move into the semifinals next week. We'll be back on Stars and Strikes Doubles. All right, Peter Pereira now to start game 3, and there's the situation for his team. Oh, and a perfect pocket hit, and there is the first strike of the match for the team of Pereira and Treeful.
Well, you can't figure they're going to go 3 games without getting some strikes. Now you figure maybe they're going to come in bunches, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered for this team, trailing by 23. Ooh, just a little full that time, and the difference is 2, 4, and 6 left. I'm going to try to split the 2 and the 4.
The team that's waiting for the winners of this match are number 2 seeded team Mike Sargent and Steve Vadney.
'27. Opening 2 frames.
Here's Mike Poulin. Both teams electing to stay with the order they were in, the rotation. Punch-outs have been a problem in this match for both teams.
A few times hitting the head pin and going through, but most of the time it's the half Worcesters, so missing the object pin.
Nice out there for Mike, but the lead is quickly down to 14. That mark.
Oh boy, the 1 and the 8. Brian had the 1 and the 9. I believe it was Brian. Somebody had the 1 and the 9. I'm sure
about all of them have had something at one time or another.
I'm sure they want to forget it just like I can't remember. So they're probably going to gain a few more in count. So all of a sudden, this match is down to just a, wow, great out though. Great out by Mike Poulin. He actually didn't gain another one there. You see, off the wall for the 2-pin. And the 10 box. Billy Treeful for the 3rd and 4th frames would like nothing more than 2 marks up. Ball spinning, but it's not breaking for him.
Keep in mind, with Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold still in the lead in this match. All season long here on Stars and Strikes Doubles, we've only had one team win 2 matches in a row, and that was a couple of weeks ago when Jack Sanick and Brian McKinley won the series championship.
Oh, good 10 by Billy Treeful. Just catching enough of the wood to come off the right sidewall for the 4-pin. Right there. Nice shot.
Back on the head pin again, and it's coming this way, and there it goes.
I was just about to say, he doesn't want to go 2 frames without putting at least 1 mark up there to keep the pressure on Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold. And Brian goes through the middle.
This is contagious.
to clear these 3 away or he'll lose some more pins and count. He does that, so the lead stays at 15, but now he's opposite a strike.
And Brian waits for the result, and it will be the 6-7-10 with wood scattered everywhere.
I think his only shot is to try to hit the piece of wood almost on the cap that is in front of the 6-10. And even then, there's no guarantees.
Nope. Well, what this means is that when we return after this next break, Peter Pereira will step up with a chance to chop this lead into single digits. Right now it is at 15, but Peter Pereira will be back to throw that all-important fill ball on the strike that you see when we come back. Don't go away. Pretty important spot right here.
Sure is. And he catches the head pin. Oh, the 10 pin went down. Gives himself a legitimate spare leave, and just the 5 and the 8 and a piece of wood in between. Catches any part of the 5 pin, he's got the spare.
Spare on strike. The lead down to 5.
Now the pressure is a big fill and another mark, forcing the other team to try to keep pace now and not sit on the lead. Catches it thin. Oh, he gets a strike! Oh, he just barely touched the head pin. Well, watch the spinning action of the pins. Right here, all the way across to clear out the 2, 4, and 7. Mike Poulin.
Right back with one. Right back. Strike in the 5th. What a match. It was quiet for a while, but all of a sudden.
Look right here, he needed a lot of help, and he certainly gets the pin action that he needs for the 5 and the 7.
First mark for Poulin and Uphold in this 3rd game, and
Bulls are getting real vocal out there. Wow. I wonder.
Now would you take a shot at the wood here?
I don't know. It's resting right against the sidewall. I think I'd have to go for the 9 fill, though. I got to take the 3.
That's what Mike does.
I mean, it'd be different if you had to make the spare to win the match or something. But right now, the fill is more important. He still has some time left in the game.
Well, there it was. It might have gone.
Might have.
$10.
I don't know if he would have covered the 3 pin, but he was thinking about it.
I think he was talking about it too as he came back to the bench to talk to his partner.
Still have a 4 pin advantage, but that should disappear with a fill on the strike by Billy Treeful.
A little full.
Wants the 7 pin to go. It does, and along with it goes the 3. 6-10, tough angle on the wood, though.
Actually caught a nice break because he was full on the head pin there.
Yeah, he's going to have a clear shot at the 6-10.
Looking for the 4th mark in a row of the team, and they've got it. 20 more for Treeful and Pereira.
They're going up in 20 each box, starting with a 4th. Strike, spare, strike, spare. 20, 40, 60 pins in 3 frames, the 4th through the 6th. Still working on a spare. Doesn't want to leave any room for Poulin and Uphold, and he's not going to. That close to another strike. Everything but the 6.
But now another single. Seen a lot of important ones already, and there is a make. Bill's happy about that one.
Turns around and points his finger like, I got that one, and I didn't need any help. I was right on it.
5 marks in a row for the team of Treeful and Pereira, and they have taken the lead, and there is a half Worcester. Plays it inside.
Oh,
He's got it for the spare. What a shot and what a spot to make it.
Talk about clutch spares. Here's one right here. You think he's down and out because of the half Worcester? Cuts it on the inside. The 7 and the 9 pins go down for the spare. A much needed one to keep pace. Oh, he pulled it to the left, but he got a nice break. 1, 3, 5, and 9. Piece of wood in between should help with the 9. The 5 pin is going to be the problem.
Oh, yes.
He gets it.
Oh, yes. We
Wow.
have got a great finish coming up here, gang.
Lead is 9 pins for Pete Pereira and Billy Treeful, both teams working on a spare. So lead will be pushed into double figures with this fill.
Boy, this match was very quiet for a long time. Now, all of a sudden, shots are being made all over the place.
3-6, 4-7. That'll push the lead into double figures, so whatever happens, Mike Poulin is going to need at least one more mark.
Finally, an open for Treeful and Pereira after they strung 5 marks in a row together.
Doesn't want to leave any pins standing.
Doesn't. 142 after 9.
And a mark here would make Mike Poulin throw 2 marks. Nope,
Oh, half Worcester.
You don't want a bad frame. You said it. As started out to be kind of a slow-moving match, as all of a sudden,
Oh, no.
and boy, this could be the shot of the match right here. What do? Do you take two pins in either corner, or do you go head pin and hopefully you get 9 or 10? It's going for them all.
Well, bails out with a 7, a 149, and a 3-game total 362. So that means that the team of Poulin and Uphold will have to come up with 127 in this game.
And they're at 114 clip now, so he needs a good fill and at least one more mark. Well, that's the fill.
Brian Uphold up off his seat, screaming at the pins.
Mike wants to stay away from capping that front piece of wood, get by that to clear the 8 pin out. And he does.
Well, that should do it if Mike just keeps the ball on the lane here. He needs just a reasonable fill.
You can't push through.
All he has to avoid here is a half Worcester, and we've seen a lot of those. 127 is the score they need.
4 on a fill, at least in a 10.
That'll
do it.
That does it. And Mike Poulin's excited about it. 4 marks in a row for the team of Poulin and Uphold. Brian Uphold wants more.
He's won, though, right? Maybe somebody should tell him. Blood pressure will probably drop a little bit. What an exciting match. There it is, another one, almost. Well, let's see. We're going to roll around, no?
Both teams in the 140s in this third game. It's a 9-box, but it matters little now. 142 for Poulin and Uphold, and they wind up with a 3-game total of 378 and a 16-pin victory over the team of Bill Treeful and Pete Pereira. We will return to talk to all the bowlers. Terrific match here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. Don't go away. And welcome back to the Londonderry Bowling Center. A terrific match here on Stars and Strikes Doubles as Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold have to come from behind in Game 3 as it turned out to win this one. Let's talk to all our bowlers and give away some money here. First of all, Peter Pereira and Bill Treeful, come on up. A round of applause for these guys. They put on a terrific comeback. $200 is fourth prize money for you gents, and boy, it was kind of a funny match. Everything seemed to happen in the third game.
Well, we were kind of struggling in that first and second string. We put it all together in the last game, and I just wish something different could have happened in the last 2 boxes.
Yeah,
that's
so
all.
all of a sudden, you guys were marking, striking, everything was going right in that third game, but you just ran out of gas a little bit at the end.
Well, we put you to sleep in the first 2 strings, so we think we better wake you up. But 2 good house bowlers. They both bowl out of here, and they're both good pros.
Well, again, congratulations to both of you. Hope to see you again real soon. Happy New Year to both of you. All right, take care. Pete Pereira and Bill Treeful, and now let's call on Brian Uphold and Mike Poulin to come on up for a little visit, because lots to talk about in that third game. Mike, welcome in, and Brian, good to see you again. And I want to start with you because you made probably what was the key shot in the whole match, the 7th box. It started that run of 4 in a row at the end when you converted the half Worcester.
Yeah, the first ball was pretty ugly. I yanked it. Doing 2, and I was fortunate to come back and make it.
Were you thinking make it, or just thinking don't have a bad box at that point?
We had to make it. If we don't make it, we're out of the match, really. 'Cause, I mean, they were really starting to put the pressure on us, and that was a big turnaround right there.
Because you get the 1 mark, and then all of a sudden it begins to flow, and you get 4 in a row at the end.
Yeah, Brian was a big shot. There's no question about it. Thank goodness.
You were a little pumped up about that strike you threw, though, Eric.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, it's Christmas time, you know?
That's right. Well, next week we got a couple of lightweights coming in here. Steve Vadney and Mike Sargent. They've hardly ever been on TV, and they'll be your opponents next week.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good match anyway. Let's see what happens.
Well, it should be terrific. We're looking forward to seeing you both back, and enjoy it for a week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold, congratulations, guys. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you next week. That should be a terrific one, and let's set it up for you here as we take a look at our schedule, as we're now left with our top 3 teams remaining. Once again, that 2-in-a-row jinx, Dan, seems to work. Again, all season long, we've had only 1 team win 2 matches in a row here on Stars and Strikes Doubles.
Well, they made a good effort at it, that's for sure. I don't know if we can top the excitement next week with the last string this week. This has been terrific bowling by both teams.
Well, you definitely don't want to miss next Sunday at 1 o'clock here on Stars and Strikes Doubles, because it should be a terrific match. Mike Sargent and Steve Vadney will try and challenge Mike Poulin and Brian Uphold. And don't forget, it will all start next Sunday at noon from Park Place Lanes on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole Win Sports crew, I'm Doug Brown. So long from Londonderry.